Hi everyone, I'm Shelvian Wakawa, and in this video I would like to talk about, is a wife worth competing for? But before I go into the video, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, click and share with your friends, because something important is to be discussed right now. Now let's go into the video immediately. The issue of competition has been there for a long time. Competitions take place almost all the time. At school, at home, people compete with each other. It is through competition that you find a winner, and then of course you find a loser. So it's not now that competition has, started. There are so many competitions in the past. I remembered as a young lad, I was growing up and I used to watch movies, and I see people competing for wives, men fighting themselves to get women. Yes, I remembered watching Indian movies. In those days, you find, two people fighting because of a lady. I've watched Chinese films. In fact, most movies that have such, titles about competition, where a macho man will just come in and defeat the weaker one and take the bride. They were powerful movies, and they attract a lot of attention. Now, that aside, as I was growing up also, I heard of stories of my grandfather who had to compete in order to get married to my grandmother. In fact, in his own case, there were many of them that were interested in the same lady, and the thing became so tough, nobody wanted to give up, and then they had to, have a contest. They have to fight. And the one that gives up will just give up like that, eliminating one after the other, and then finally my grandfather had to take the bride. So it cost him a lot to take the bride. I grew up also to hear my dad tell me that there were other guys who were trying to, chance him out of wooing my mother, and he took courage and got married to her. So many stories like that. I will tell you about my own story also, but let us also look at the scriptures. Even in the scriptures, I've read the Bible, and one of the things I discovered is the story of David. When David wanted to be the son-in-law to Saul, the king, he was given an assignment to go and produce 200 false kings of the Philistines. Imagine that. For a man to go and literally destroy 200 people and then get them circumcised and carry the false kings to come and present before the king, to let the king know that he is a worthy person, or he's worthy of his daughter. Now, that is interesting. And then we have other stories, like the story of Jacob. The scripture says, for a wife he kept sheep. I'm sure you know the story of Jacob, how he got in love with a lady called Rachel, and he was so much in love with Rachel, and the father decided to give him some assignments to do, to keep his sheep, and he labored for 7 years, only to be told that in their own culture, the elder has to get married before the younger one. And, that came up, and he had to wait for 7 more years. He has to work for the two of them, because on the day of the wedding, he was presented with the elder sister, the ugly one. And the one he wanted was the younger sister, the beautiful one. And he had to work like that. And the scripture says that for a wife, for Rachel, that the 7 years that were added for him went quickly. Why? Because of the love that he had for her. So to loving someone and competing for that person has been there, has been there. And if you don't want to compete, then you are not ready for the good one. Now, I'm not just talking about competing for just anybody. I'm talking about competing for a wife. But a lot of people don't know a wife. If you know a wife and the value of a wife, then you'll compete. Let me digress a little bit and tell you the value of a wife. according to scriptures, it says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So it's very clear that a wife is a good thing, and then when you find a wife, you obtain favor. These two things are very important. Now, it's not every lady out there that is good, but a wife is a good thing. A wife is a plus factor and not a negative one. And for your information, there are wives around. The only difference is that you have to seek, you have to look for. Because there is a quality that you have to find in a wife. The question now is that, is a wife worth fighting for? Sure. Because if you're not ready to fight for a wife, you might not get one. If you're not ready to compete, if you're not ready to flex your muscles here and there, it might not be physical and brutal fight. It could be psychological. It could be financial. Whatever it is, there is always a competition somewhere. You see, many years ago, as a Bible school student, one of my classmates came and was bragging that because he was married, he has the power to marry. Then he looked at us and said, you bachelors, you do not have the power to marry. And, he stretched his hands and tapped me on the chest and said, you do not have the power to marry. And I said, what? Of course, I was challenged after that meeting, and I went and I started reading books and I prepared myself. 6 months later, I was married. But then there was a challenge. I did not just see the lady and just get married to her. No. I remembered that when I went to woo her, there were 2 other guys there. One was a military officer, an Air Force officer. The other one was a businessman. And look at me, a young pastor coming up, just starting pioneering a church, So if you look at the 3 of us coming, it looks as if the other 2 were set, much more prepared than me. But me, I knew that it was my time to get married. And of course, the businessman has the money. The officer has the prestige. If you look at him, if you check his chest, man, you like what you see. And look at me looking so skinny, But one thing for sure and 2 things for certain is that I'm not ready to give up without a fight. I have seen quality in this lady, and I was ready to really go for her. I was really ready to go for her. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. It was a serious one. Sorry, something has entered my eyes. Let me clear it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's all right. I was not ready to let go. I was not ready to be pushed around. And so what I did was I sized the competition and I said to myself, no, I'm not giving up. Because if you keep giving up, for how long? In fact, if you keep giving up all the time, you'll be called a loser. And I don't want to be called a loser. So I made up my mind, organized myself, and I started, strategizing on how to woo her. Now, at the end of the day, to cut a long story short, I got the bride and all the others had to answer. Now, they surrendered. But there are 3 things that I learned, and they helped me to be able to get the bride. Maybe they will help you. One of the things that I discovered is that, you see, a good thing out there is for everyone. When you see a ripe mango, where I come from, when you see a ripe mango, everyone is looking for stone to stone it. The one that gets it first is the one that takes it. You see? So a good thing is for everyone. Gold is for everyone. People, if you find gold, people will rush it. If you have petroleum, people will rush it. People rush good things. The one that people do not rush are the ones that are leftovers, like a mango that has been eaten by a bat. Nobody is interested in that. But something precious, you have to go for it. And listen to me, my friend. Don't think that because you have seen a lady out there that is looking beautiful, that nobody else is interested. In fact, there is someone interested, and you just have to make up your mind that look, the bride will be yours. Okay? So you need to have this understanding. So what did I do? Number 1, I refuse to be intimidated. Don't be intimidated by the competition, because every man's journey is different. Don't be intimidated because you see a flashy car come. Don't be intimidated because of the bicep and tricep muscles, because the guy has a chest like Rambo. Don't be intimidated. You see, the lady knows exactly what she's looking for. You also should just be there, present yourself as a candidate, because the moment you get intimidated, you have to try again. And listen to me, my friend. He that fights and run away will live to fight another day. So when you know that that is the person you are out for, better stand up and bring your chest out and do what is needful. Yeah, so the second thing that also I need to mention here is that don't wait too long. Once you know your time, don't wait too long to propose. You see, they were coming and they were checking and they were doing this. I quickly calculated. I said to myself, I said, hey, if the businessman should propose, she has to give him a yes, consider him before me. If the officer proposes, she will consider him before me. So what did I do? I said to myself, propose first. So I made up my mind to propose first. After I checked here and there, I said, okay, I have to propose. Of course, suddenly I started feeling somehow that if I propose first, maybe she's going to say no. Well, finally, I just made up my mind that there are going to be 3 answers coming from her. Number 1 is yes, and I will be excited. Number 2 is no. Of course, I will not be so happy, but I will still recover from it. And then number 3 is maybe, or I will pray for it. Woo. So I said, okay, the earlier I go out there, the better. And then I said to myself, I said, if I propose first, I will be the one to be considered first. And that was what I did. So I went to her and then I proposed first. You know, it was not anything flashy. I just said, I've been thinking about you and I know that you are the one for me and I want to get married to you. And I don't want you to delay too much. I don't want you even to pray for it because as a pastor, I've already prayed for it. All I need from you is yes for an answer. But I'll give you some time so that you can give me the answer. And that was it. So I went home. And to my surprise, after a few days, she came back and said, yes. I was so happy. And then later on, she became my wife. So my friend, you need confidence as a man. You cannot be a jelly. It's not the cash, because if it is the cash, the businessman has it. If it is the physical outlook, the officer has it. But I also have something that I don't think they have. I have boldness. I have confidence. I can talk. You know, anytime I'm with her, I talk. I talk above the businessman. Well, anytime she mentioned financial issues, I say very soon. You think he has a car? That toy, that's not a car. And then when she talks about the officer coming, I say, forget about him, he'll soon retire. And then he will join us, you know, and look for a job somewhere. So don't forget about him. And me, I'm a pastor. Very soon I'll grow a very big church and things will begin to work fine. And before I knew what was happening, that was it. That was it. She made her choice. And look at me today. Successfully married. And because it cost me to have her as a wife, whatever happens to me, I'll always remember that I paid the price for this baby. I paid the price for this wife. As I'm talking to you right now, we've been married for over 30 years. And I'm not tired of looking at her. I'm not tired of enjoying my marriage. You know why? Because I went for gold and I got it. She might not be gold to you, but she's gold to me. Because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So my friend, don't be a jelly. Don't be a jelly. Be bold about it. There are still good wives out there. There are ladies out there that you can compete for. Because the moment they come into your life, a lot of things will change. Well, go out there and bring back the bride. And we will be around to clap for you. Until we see again in the next video. Well, you just stay fit and stay bold and ensure that you get the prize.